Hello ladies and gentlemen, Yeti here. Welcome back to another video. So today I want to be talking about which specialization I would be playing in World of Warcraft, or I will be playing in World of Warcraft The War Within. I get this question a lot on my stream. What is currently the best mage spec? Is it fun? You know, what are the alternatives, etc. So this is, today is September 5th. We are about 5 days away from Heroic Week, in which we will be doing the normal and heroic difficulties of the raid, the first raid in The War Within, and we'll be doing Mythic 0 dungeons. This is going to be the first time we're going to encounter hard content in, you know, World of Warcraft The War Within, because right now all we're doing is basically open world content and heroics. In, you know, both ways, you're just, in both situations, you're just one-shotting monsters, right? Everything you will hear today in this video should be taken with a grain of salt. I highly recommend you follow all Blizzard blue posts, and also you check out Wowhead for, you know, balance changes regarding mages and all other classes in World of Warcraft. About a week and a half away from today is going to be Mythic Week, which is going to start the actual Mythic progression in raiding, and also is going to start Mythic Plus. That is going to be the most important day to check all updates regarding classes. Also, you can drop by my stream and ask me, you know, hey, is the spec mentioned in this video still the best mage spec, or did they change something? I will probably be playing the best spec anyways, because, you know, when Mythic Plus drops, that will be my main content on that stream. Anyways, that being said, let's get into the video. Alright, so we're going to start with Arcane Mage. Arcane has two specializations. They are called Sun Fury and Spell Slinger. Sun Fury is currently the highest tuned mage specialization. It's probably one of the highest tuned classes, range DPS, overall in the War Within right now. It has already received one small nerf recently, but I think as of right now, everybody would recommend this specialization in every situation. If you go check Wowhead, and if you go into Mage and then Arcane, it's going to say Sun Fury for everything. Raid single target, raid cleave, Mythic Plus, Delves, and open world. Again, this will probably change in the future. I'm not fully sure because, you know, I cannot see the future, but I think there will be some sort of balance changes going on. But right now, this spec fulfills everything. AoE, single target, and I think fantasy and gameplay are both really, really fun as well. So what this spec does, I'll just give you some, you know, quick like notes I have about this spec. So after you cast Arcane Surge, you will receive your Phoenix, and after the Phoenix runs out, you're going to get something called Arcane Soul, which means for 2+ seconds, you're able to spam Arcane Barrage like every single global cooldown, and it will give you 4 Arcane charges back. So it's going to be doing a lot of damage, and it's going to give you clear casting, right? So this is like, you're going to enter this phase where you're just like spamming Arcane Barrage over and over again, and it's refunding the Arcane charges, and it's really fun. It's giving you clear casting, right? I think that's really, really fun. Another thing that this spec plays around is called Burden of Power, which you will be getting whenever you conjure a Spellfire Sphere. You do that by casting the Arcane spells, and it's going to increase the damage of your next Arcane Blast or your next Arcane Barrage. This is something you're probably going to be using on Arcane Blast. And then later, you're going to get Glorious Incandescence. I probably said that wrong, which is going to cause your Arcane Barrage to grant you 4 Arcane charges and call down a storm of 4 meteorites, which is huge, by the way. You were able to double dip on Burden of Power, so you were able to, you know, queue an Arcane Missile right after, sorry, an Arcane Barrage right after, and you would get both, you know, the Burden of Power and the Glorious Incandescence on the Arcane Barrage. But right now you cannot do that anymore, so you're only playing around Nether Precision, and this is just like another, you know, proc which increases your DPS. I love how this spec feels. It also gives you a lot of mobility, and, you know, has a really nice vibe to it. Also visually is very, very pleasing. The other hero talent choice for Arcane is called Spell Slinger. It's fine, but as I said, right now, nobody really recommends it. It doesn't play much differently than Arcane would without like a hero, you know, talent in general. Consuming Nether Precision is going to shoot out additional splinters. When you hit 8 splinters on a target, you will be doing AoE damage, like explosion type. So this is basically, you know, it's not really useful in open world content at all, because you're not going to get to 8 charges probably. But, you know, in Mythic Plus, this could see some play if it gets properly tuned. You can also summon more Arcane Orbs with one of the talents in the hero talent. So again, potentially speaking, this could be fun in Mythic Plus. All right, let's talk about Frost Mage. So Frost has two choices, Frostfire and Spellslinger. Frostfire in general currently feels very straightforward. Both specs have similar mechanics. As you know, I think most hero talents do. You're still playing the same spec of the class you're playing. And for Mage specifically, it's about shattering your Winter's Chill, which you apply via Flurry or other methods, which we're gonna not go over in this video. Spellslinger is currently a great choice for both Mythic Plus and Raid environment. This specialization plays a lot around instant spell casts all the time. You're doing a lot less hard casting. You also spec less into Frostbolt when you're playing this, and you can reset your frozen orb via Frostfire teachings. So you're gonna have more frozen orbs outside. You're gonna have more instant spells. You're gonna be ice lancing a lot more and getting your glacial spike via that. Of course, the glacial spike is still going to be the main source of damage, but to me it feels very like BM Huntery almost, where you're able to move throughout half of the encounter. Okay, BM Hunter can move the whole time, but Mage being able to move half of the time is really, really good. I think with tuning, Spellslinger might be insane. Even, you will see later in the Sims section of the video, Spellslinger is pretty strong either way. So this might be one of the better, choices right now for mages. Now, I want to go quickly over Frostfire as well. This one is recommended currently for leveling and delves because it has a very easy rotation. You are going to be doing a lot of damage with Frostfire Bolt, and just generally speaking, you don't need to have cooldowns up with this specialization. So it's really good for delves, for open world content, things like that, because you're generally speaking doing consistent damage at all times. Yeah, of course you have cooldowns and you can pop additional spells, but I think it's a decent spec. Currently, there are a lot of bugs specifically for Frostfire Mage, so tuning, again, we have to take with a grain of salt. Maybe some changes will come in the future. As of right now, it's really good for open world, and that's what I use it for. All right, now let's talk about Fire Mage. Fire Mage has two choices. It's Sun Fury and Frost Fire. The problem with Mage, and the reason that, this section of the video is very short compared to any other, is that, simply Fire Mage requires heavy tuning, and I would currently not recommend it. However, I do think you should try it out and practice because Blizzard has a history with this specialization. Yes, Fire is currently really weak. The gameplay is fine. You're playing only one talent choice, which has no, good AoE options, which is kind of weird and sussy. So maybe, they're going to change that. But, I would recommend you to try this spec out and see how it plays. Sun Fury, as of right now, is the better choice. Of course, if you are a one trick or you are insanely good at Fire Mage and you do not like playing other, specs of Mage, it's fine. You will still probably perform okay, but don't expect to be topping the meters with this spec right now because, when we look at the numbers, it's quite disappointing. But yeah, for me personally, I am not going to be playing Fire in any environment until I see, some sort of changes or, some new build comes out or something like that. Fire will probably feel pretty good, especially Sun Fury. But yeah, I'm waiting for tuning right now. All right, let's talk about Sims. So the Sims for this video were taken from a credible source, which is the Mage Discord in World of Warcraft, the class Discord. By the way, if you're trying to get good at any class, I would highly recommend you to go and find that class's Discord. Just Google World of Warcraft class Discords, official class Discords. I don't know if they're actually official, but I do think Wowhead recommends them and puts their links on the website. And I think that's where pretty much every guide writer is hanging out and giving advice very often. So it's a really good page to learn your class. Anyways, Sims are done. Basically, you take the stats of a class with a max geared character and they perform a rotation at a dummy, which is almost perfect, right? I think they have some sort of margin of error built in. So they're kind of human Sims. It's best possible human DPS, I think. But generally speaking, the higher the sim, the higher the damage of a specific spec will be. So first, let's take a look at Arcane. And for Arcane, the clear winner is Sun Fury Arcane, with the raid specialization doing roughly 1.63 million damage per second. That's a really high number. We'll see how the tuning goes. For now, this is pretty insane. Let's look at Frost. Currently, the winner is Spellslinger GS with roughly 1.47 million DPS, which makes it's about, 0.15 of a million behind Sun Fury, but, still decent. And lastly, let's look at Fire, where Sun Fury Fire has roughly 1.31 mil DPS, which makes it, again, 0.15 mil behind Spellslinger and 0.3 mil behind Sun Fury Arcane. I think that overall, the Sims are pretty clear of which is the DPS winner. It is going to be Sun Fury Arcane with roughly 1.6 million DPS. I think that, as I already said, the winner for me is Arcane Mage in both Mythic Plus and Raid environment, because simply the specialization is tuned very, very good. And I also think the spec is fun to play, and it's also pretty easy to play. With the recent changes, with Burden of Power not being able to be double dipped, they kind of made the class easier to play. You don't necessarily need to be tracking every buff you have in the class to do really, really good DPS. And I think that, you can't do that many things wrong. Like, yeah, sure, you can yourself, but usually you just Arcane Barrage, you'll get that mana back. In open world, I would probably suggest Frostfire. I do sometimes play Arcane as well, but I do think that Frostfire is the perfect open world spec because of, just very solid damage outside of cooldowns, and also the fact that your barrier is very strong, your shield is very strong, and you are able to slow and stun the enemies before they reach you. I will also be trying Spellslinger Frost in Mythic Plus as soon as Mythic Plus opens, because I want to see if this spec is maybe better in a specific key range. I do think that as of right now, we are actually really just waiting for tuning and bug fixes for Mage specifically to see what will be the best spec to play in the War Within. But as of right now, if we get no changes or very little changes, Arcane is going to be dominating. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope I answered your question, and I also gave you some idea of what might be coming and what to look out for. Personally, I'm really happy with Arcane Mage, but I do think that Fire Mage will probably get that, 60% aura boost and will be topping the meters once again. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like. It really helps a lot. And I'll see you guys around. Have a good day. Later.